Welcome to another episode of I Catch Killers. Throughout my police career, and even in my own personal life, I saw the devastating impact drug addiction could have on people's lives. It affected not only the user, but also those around them. Given the things we're going to discuss today, I think it's appropriate to say if you or someone you know would like to talk to someone confidentially about addiction, contact Lifeline on 131114. It would be fair to say that most people have been impacted on in some way by those people with an addiction. Maybe they've been victim of a crime committed by an addict who's trying to support a drug habit. Or it could be the pain of seeing a loved one throwing away their life in the vicious cycle of addiction. In the cops, we're regularly dealing with people addicted to drugs. In fact, in cop speak, we referred to them as junkies, and it wasn't a term of endearment. But as a regular listener to I Catch Killers, have come to realise the world of crime is not black and white. Today's guest was a drug addict for a large portion of his life. Heroin, ice, cocaine, you name it, he used it. It led him to committing crime to support his hundreds of dollars a day habit and hurting those around him. He did lengthy stints in prison, more trips to rehab than he cares to remember. I think there are about 50 or more. But today's guest has managed to turn his life around when others had given up on him. He's now been clean for about 12 years and helping others fight addiction. This is a story of a redemption, overcoming an addiction and giving back to society by drawing on his own experiences. Danny Shannon, welcome to I Catch Killers.
Brother, hello. Thank you, welcome. What an amazing introduction. It almost puts a tear in my eye just to hear you say that stuff out loud. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sometimes it takes to hear it out loud to realise how far your journey has come.
Yeah, I'm so blessed, and I absolutely love sharing the message of recovery, and also, like you mentioned just then about loved ones with loved ones in addiction. It's such it's a terrible, tragic thing.
Yeah, I know. We were talking about that the other day, and they're quite often the forgotten people, aren't they? The loved ones with watching someone they love destroy themselves.
Yeah, look, it took me years in recovery actually to start to acknowledge the harm I'd caused to family. It's amazing. Like, we addicts are so self-centered, and this is I'm speaking for myself, of course, but self-centered, selfish, self-seeking, and it's all about us. What about our loved ones, that we harm? It's absolutely horrible. And I speak to loved ones on a daily basis of people who are in jail and they just want to help them. And it's a
real narcissist, thing to get caught up in it, isn't it? The world revolves around you, and you need to get some drugs in you.
Absolutely, yes,
and everyone else falls by the wayside. But you're looking well. You're looking after yourself these days.
You too, Gary. Thanks, mate. Yeah, smashed the gym this morning. I'm at the gym 13 out of 14 days. Doing my best, mate. I've just recently quit the smoke, so I'm like 16 days off the cigarettes. I feel incredible, actually. Yeah. Right now, I feel incredible. It's amazing how much of an effect nicotine has on my body. I've been aware of it for 12 years because I've been on and off them over that time. But right now I'm feeling 46 years old, feeling the strongest and the best I've ever felt in my life, to be honest.
Good stuff. Well, you're looking fit and healthy.
Thanks, fella.
Well, it's worth. Now, we've got so much to talk about. Sure. Like when we look at your life, and we're looking at the where you're at now, but there were some dark spots. You, and we'll talk about this in depth later, but escape from a maximum security prison. How many people have that on their resume? Not that many.
Gary, actually, it wasn't a maximum security prison. Thank you for that. It was certainly barred up, like it was a 24-foot barreled fence with lots of security, and it wasn't an easy feat, but it wasn't maximum security, mate.
Not many people escape from Silverwater prison. The last person I spoke to that escaped from Silverwater prison, he used a helicopter.
And I've had a chat with him as well. What an absolute legend, and doing some amazing things today as well.
Yeah. John, shout out to John Killick.
Yeah,
but we'll talk about that escape, because that is something that really shows how desperate you were at that time in your life, that the option was going over a fence, and you call it not a maximum security prison. I've been there. It'd be pretty hard to break out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
You've also, you've died 3 times. You've had to be brought back to life.
15 times, Gary.
15 times.
Yeah, mate, definitely. Mate, I can count just on two hands the amount of times I just dropped out the front of a set of flats or on the road in Cabramatta. Yeah, I would say 15 times.
This
Blue.
is overdose. That if you didn't get medical attention, you were gone.
Yeah, probably Narcan 15 times. I've had broken ribs on 2 occasions from the paramedics pumping me, giving me CPR and, nurturing bruised ribs for months later, just thinking back and big black chest from the bruising.
You're not really selling the lifestyle of a drug addict. It's to be avoided. But let's talk about your growing up days.
Sure.
What was your upbringing like?
I love it's like I feel like I come from a quite a good family, and one of the things when I entered drug and alcohol recoveries, I heard a lot of carnage from a lot of families, abuse. I don't feel like I fit into that category entirely, and actually, it's really important I mention that because of that, I felt maybe I wasn't. Maybe this wasn't for me, but actually, At the end of the day, I caused myself a lot of harm, and thank goodness I did find recovery. But anyway, Mum. So Mum's an absolute legend. She's my biggest supporter.
Yeah.
Today as well. But I feel like Mum taught me a lot of my good values and morals. And my father's an absolute legend. He supported me through all my prison, through all my attempts at rehab. But my father's nickname is Shanky, and he's like 74 now. He's recently had a stroke. He's not doing the best, but he he taught me everything I shouldn't know.
Right.
So he was like he played a big part in enabling my addiction.
I think it's interesting because we have spoken to a lot of people that had that really rough upbringing, and you can see where drugs was that escape. But like in my own family, I've seen the family members that have been caught up in drugs, and they came from a good household. So you're an example of something like that. You had a loving family around you, but you still found your way into that world. Tell us about how that started, because I know as a young fellas and young ladies, you're always looking out for the next thrill or a little bit of experimentation. How did you get into drugs?
Look, it really I think back on that, and it really is this simple. It's like I didn't come from that full abusive background where I needed drugs to have escaped. But what did happen, and this really identifies me as an addict, is the minute I picked them up, I just didn't stop. Like, I just loved it, and I needed it, and I wanted more. And the obsession and compulsion sort of kicked in the early days. And there was really not a day that went by from that first day I picked up for 17 years before I finally put them down in 2009.
How old were you when you
14.
14. And what? Tell us about your first.
It was a big night, Gary. It was. I got drunk, stoned. I was on the cream bulbs. That's the NOS Nangs. Anyway, nitric oxide. Up in Bundaberg with a mate that I used to, who'd moved up there previously to me, and we got smashed on this outdoor roller skating ring up in Bundy. I remember sort of coming to. After sort of like passing out, I think, and there was broken glass around, bodies on the ground, and I thought, and this is it. I woke up thinking, fuck, that was mad,
Yeah.
Like, let's do it again. And that's kind of where my journey started.
So what was it, smoko to start with, and then...
alcohol, pot.
Yeah.
Then over the next month or 2 months, maybe a bit of LSD came into the mix, some speed.
Yep.
Magic mushrooms, those nangs, like I said, that's the nitrous oxide. That's it.
Sounds like you're up for anything. And did you have any? Was there the one side of you, the good side sitting on your shoulder, going, "What the hell are you doing?" Or were you just all in?
Not at all, mate. I don't ever recall that.
Yeah.
That side you're talking about. That's the better side. That was never there. I just wanted to party, or not even party, and it wasn't even I wanted to escape, but I guess I did want to escape.
Yeah.
I just wanted to change the way I felt,
and it made you feel good.
Made me feel good. Yeah.
When did you realise it was starting to become addictive?
I picked up heroin maybe just before my 16th birthday. I started smoking heroin. We got onto this wicket from the first time I started smoking heroin. It was with this pretty new guy. Who, when I say new guy, new friend, and he had this big wad of cash at home. Like, it was a wad like this big, and
You're describing a bundle like
a big round bundle, and it wasn't his; it was his family's wad, right? But he just kept pulling out hundreds each day, and we just kept funding. So for the first 6 weeks, me, him, and another guy were just like we're on the heroin, smoking it for 6 weeks. And just to answer your question, my family caught me out. I got busted by my sister, my mum, and his mum, because the wad of cash was getting smaller and smaller. And
so that he was knocking off from his
he was stealing it out of the cupboard, and I remember where it was placed. And anyway, I got busted. My family kind of locked me up for a couple of days, and then in that couple of days, my other mate, my co-offender, he started injecting heroin, and I remember previous to this that. And as most human beings is, I would never touch a needle, you know. And all of a sudden, in the 6 days that I'm in this forced lockdown detox, I find out he started injecting heroin, and I get out, I meet up with him. I think, how could you do that without me, you know? And then boom, and I went and had my first shot in a Cabra, in a dingy flat in Cabramatta. The dealer was Wok, good old Wok. I'll never forget Wok. He injected me with half a cap. And that was definitely the beginning of the end, Gary.
When you said the 6 day lockdown, that was imposed by your parents, and you were grounded, so to speak. Yeah. Did you have the cravings then? Were you physically and mentally hooked on the drug?
Great question. You wouldn't. No, yes, but no. Like the first time you experience heroin withdrawal, you don't know. Like you've never experienced this. It's quite an unusual. So it can only be probably the closest thing to compare it to would be a cold. You know, pretty bad common cold.
Okay, so you're feeling run down. You're feeling a bit shitty.
Yeah, not sleeping well. But yeah, that was the only free one you get like that, because every other withdrawal after that, you know what it is, you know.
Yeah. So you've come out after 6 days, and you haven't learnt your lesson. You thought, just let me back into it.
Yep.
And your mate is injecting, as distinct from smoking, the heroin.
Yeah.
And so, what did you think? Okay, let's do the needle.
Yeah, straight away. Like that's what I'm like. I thought, how could you do that without me? So I've gone from never would I ever touch a needle to how could you do that without me? We're on our way to Cabra to meet Walk to shoot me up in the flats of Cabra, and that was the beginning of the end, mate.
I just want to get a sense. Do you reckon there's anyone that could have made a difference to the path you were on at that stage? Do you reckon if you had someone that just grabbed hold of you and said, "What the fuck are you doing?"
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm sorry to say. I know loved ones, people with their children want to hear that, yes, but no, there was nothing you could do.
Look, I think it helps people, because I do see the trauma sometimes. The loving family go, how did it happen? We should have done this, and blaming themselves, the loved one. So I think it's interesting exploring what we're talking about.
Good, okay.
And I'm trying to get a real sense of what drives you. Like it's you weren't running away from something, but you've said it made you feel better. And then did you consider, were you aware of the impact of heroin at that stage when you start to inject it in your arms? Or I suppose at 16 you know jack shit, don't you?
Well, yeah, like I also compare, like, what about with those nights I'd get on the Sambuca, the black Sambuca, and just violently smash myself, vomiting my guts up and passing out. Like, if you compare that to a sneaky shot of heroin, it's like really the heroin looks even better at some point, you know? Yeah. Although, you know, injecting heroin makes you feel nauseous instantly too, but it's a crazy thing. Like you vomit, it's like if you, this is a bit graphic, but if you vomit on heroin, it's like, you know, you've had a good one. This is good. You know, it feels good. Whereas on Sambuca, it's
that's
horrible.
what I always found confusing in the cops. If someone had a shot and they're wrapped because they're thrown up on themselves, and this was about as good as it gets. And that was enough to turn me away from it. But
you'd think so, mate.
So okay, so you've run out of your support benefit from your mate's parents' wad of cash.
Yep.
So how are you affording the drugs? Because at 16, were you still at school or were you working?
No, I wasn't at school. I don't think I was. Well, I did start working. I lost a job. By 16, I did have a job that I lost, and I was probably unemployed by this stage. But I was locked up in a boys' home for the first time. I think it was for fraud, for writing a check. Yep, for writing a check in somebody else's name. into my bank account. I'm just desperate. I'm having a crack and it cleared. So boom, I think, yeah, mad. And then anyway, the coppers rock up.
That was going to be a hard one to solve.
Yeah, coppers rock up at 16. And I remember like that day too. Mum and maybe my dad was still around. No, maybe not. But yeah, the coppers basically, I'm under arrest, and it's like, imagine your family, what they must think on those days, you know?
Yeah. There would have been the shame.
Yeah.
I imagine yourself, you'd feel the shame, but your family would feel the shame going, what the hell has gone on here?
Even more so, I think just scared. Like I could just picture, like I've got a beautiful 20-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl, almost 5. Like I'll be horrified. I'll be so scared for them, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so a couple of days in Cobham, I end up getting bail, but that is my...
Did that scare you going in the Cobham?
Yeah, it scared me for sure. It definitely scared me. It was like these were big boys, you know, in my game. Maybe I was under 16 then, but these were big boys. And I wasn't tough. Like I wasn't like tough. I was just I was a really popular kid, I should mention too. I used to skateboard. I was a really good skateboard rider. And what that meant was I had heaps of mates because of my mum. We used to build skate parks in the back of my...
Oh, you would have been popular.
Yeah. So like we'd be knocking off schools at or building sites to get all this building material. And we built these mad skate parks. And because of that, I had lots of friends, but they all started dropping off by the time I was 16 too. So, just to go back on that, Cobham was scary, you know, but thank God I got out of there.
Was this in Cabramatta? You were living in Cabramatta?
Mate, Adenza Park, Withdrawal Park, Greenfield Park.
Yeah.
I'm close to Cabra. You know, Cabramatta's where the heroin
So
came
it wasn't hard to get a hit?
Nah. Yeah. Well, you had to go to Cabra, but when the minute you get to Cabra, it was like... Mate, my grandma could get on in Cabra like without even asking. You know, that's what it was like back in the day. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yeah, no, very much very much aware of it.
Yeah.
So you're going down that classic path. You're getting a drug habit, and you're probably not thinking of it as a full-on addiction, but you've got a habit at this stage. You're falling foul of the law with your brilliant plan of writing a dud check and putting it in your account, which I love your confidence that you weren't going to get caught for that.
Do you know what? I remember the business name too. Anyway, I probably won't mention the business name, but yeah.
Give up on your fraud career. It wasn't going to work.
No, it wasn't.
So, at what point in time did you think, okay, I'm becoming a criminal, I'm becoming a drug addict? When did you have that realisation that, fuck, this is where my life is at the moment?
Yeah, great question. I don't think I've ever really thought of it like that, but 16. I reckon the minute I started injecting heroin, I know I'm taking this serious. You know? And, you know, it's not that I admired the criminal element, although I admired the drug addicts, but was like, this is me now. You know, this is... And did I ever think that this was a tragic path to take? I don't think so, you know?
You thought you were cool?
Just what I thought I was just doing what...
Tell us about a day in the life of you. When you're in that state, when you're chasing your next hit, you're committing petty crime to finance it. What's your average day? Where were you living and what were you doing?
All right, you'd like to think that you're going to wake up with a shot, okay? But that never, ever, ever happened, right? So the day wakes up, you wake up in desperation, like, where do I get my next hit? Of course, that's the thing I remember. You know, I ended up on the methadone. I'm happy we should talk about that because that's a different time to desperation than not being on the methadone because you don't wake up hanging out. But waking up, hanging out, having some ideas when you go to bed, how you're going to get your next hit. And it'd just be on, like, my petty crimes, as you mentioned, range from, breaking enters to stealing cars. You know, I've stolen cars and found $600 in the dash. You know, you get lucky. It just depends on a good day. Shoplifting, selling shit to, some shop in Cabra, talking stuff,
So breaking it down, because I don't think a lot of people fully appreciate. I've seen it in the cops. I've seen it with people who are addicted. What drives them? Like they'll run over the top of you to get their next. So when you say you wake up and you're craving, describe that to us.
Yeah, it's like I have no control over what limits me to getting money, like for example, family.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe, and it's sad, and it's shameful too. But certainly family are often the first ones to get hurt or burnt. by me until they learn to and I don't know how common that is, but it was certainly part of my story, So I might steal money from there, and then maybe and I think this is very similar in like even in the heavier criminal stuff, like even murder, right?
Yeah.
They always say they look for the close vicinity, like the person comes from somewhere in that vicinity, and boom, that's what you do. You aim for the neighbour's house or the closest business. And I started doing that, and then, but anyway, sorry, to answer your question, it's just desperation. I must get on.
Right, so that is your primary focus of the day. It's not anything else that you've got to achieve that day. It's I got to score some money so I can score some drugs.
Yeah,
and you will do whatever needed to be done.
And it wasn't that hard. Like there were so many things I could do.
Yeah, and talk us about the type of crimes that you did to fund that, because I know in policing when the heroin was running and the breaking in, it's like just streets would just be cleared out. The videos would go, the TVs would go, anything you could get hand on, and then off to the pawn shop and So
look, I hate to admit, but that was certainly part of it. The crimes. So I would always steal cars to get to places, right? So that was the first thing. Like you walk out the house, steal the closest car. And for me, don't worry, they weren't high performance cars, mate. They were Corollas, Coronas, Sigmas, Datsuns. It was so easy to steal them things. You could do it for a pair of scissors. So boom, I'm in the car. Now also that meant that I'm a red light. Wherever I'd go, I'd be a red light. So coppers would spot me, they'd try and stop me, and I would never pull over. Like the chase would be on, and I also learned how to get away pretty quick.
And what drives that? And this is the thing.
Desperation.
It's that desperation because if the cops catch me, I'm not worried about being locked up, but I won't be able to get to my drugs.
Of course. Like yes. Like it's like early in the piece, you kind of, I think I surrendered or whatever, but then you realise, well, that's not going to help your cause.
Yeah.
So you don't, and you just do your best to get away,
So stolen cars, car chases.
Breaking enters into factories every single day. God help me, I don't want to put myself in, but Wetherill Park copped a fucking hiding for me for like over 6 years. And sometimes you'd be going, like for me, it would be going for the petty cash. There's always this idea of the petty cash box in the building, So you'd be going for that, but computers were a big part of my. Computers were very big, and you could sell them very easily. Actually, what about the fucking creepy crawlies? You remember the pool?
In the pool.
I was doing creepy crawlies at one stage, knocking them off and selling them. Wow, man, like shoplifting, you could literally pack up a trolley at Coles and just walk out with the trolley full of content, go and sell it.
It's interesting, like you're talking like that. There was a whole industry around the heroin, the addiction and the drugs, the people that needed the money to pay for the drugs.
Yep.
The pawn shops, and like I know through policing, and I'm talking the 80s, that's the sort of time we're talking about 80s, 90s, that we had to change things from the cops' point of view. So serial numbers on, neighbourhood watch, write down the serial numbers of your TV and anything else that gets knocked off so we could track it down. And then we could sit off a pawn shop and we'd just watch. We'd call them the junkies, and I said at the start it wasn't a term of endearment because you could spot them a mile away. There was a desperation about them, and they would walk into the pawn shop and try to hock the and you would see them walking down the street with a TV under one arm and a VHS recorder under the other arm. Oh, where did you get that? Oh, it's from my friends. Yeah, my friends. Yeah.
Yeah, mate. And look, on that note too, you'd have the good pawn shops that they'd have your back as much as they could. They wouldn't take your ID. They'd let you give a body name, and they were doing, whatever their thing. They wouldn't be writing it down either.
Oh, that 100%.
Most of them actually.
Yeah. Well, that was, and that it started to get regulated where they had to get proof of ID and all that, because otherwise it was ridiculous. You could clear out the whole house, walk around the corner, and the pawn shops got all this stuff that we couldn't get off them.
Yeah.
Your lifestyle, where were you living and who were you hanging out with?
Yeah, pretty blessed to have my old man and my mum kind of support me in those early days. Like I'm not quite 18 yet maybe.
Yeah.
So, maybe I'm about 18. So I'm in and out of custody as well. Occasionally maybe homeless. Just like mum and dad were divorced, so or split up or whatever you call it. But I'd go from mum. She kicked me out after a little while. Then I'd go to my dad's, and then he kicked me out. And by that time, mum would let me come back there. Maybe I was living at a squat. I certainly lived at squats, friends' houses, and stuff. But it was no stable address, no fixed address. Really.
At that time, because you're at that crucial time when if you're just under 18, is there anything that could have stopped you going down that path? At that, you personally, I'm not saying generally. You personally, is there anything that you'd think could have shaken you out of it?
I wonder. Like the first thing that comes to my mind is I love travel today, I just fucking love traveling. I wonder if you took me to America or something, maybe took me out of the scene, maybe that would be a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so, but
channel your addiction into something else, perhaps. That's because did you have the same problem with alcohol?
Nah, I wasn't a drinker.
Right, so it was the drugs that were your vice.
I had a crack at the alcohol, but it was hard work, mate. Shooting up heroin or ice or whatever was on app, it was so much easier, so much cleaner, so much quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, alcohol was never really part of my story. In the early days it was as a kid, but not later on.
Okay, so you're, most people at 17, 18 thinking, okay, what am I going to do with the future? What were you thinking? What your future is, or you didn't care, just what your day was going to bring?
Yeah, I had no future mapped out. I knew my future was jails, institutions.
Did you accept that you'd possibly be dead in a squat house or laying in the gutter at some stage? Does that cross your mind, or did you think you were invincible?
Yeah, I think I did accept that, although I think I was invincible. Well, when I didn't literally go, I'm invincible, but the way I acted was as if I was invincible. Yeah. Like, mate, let me tell you, I've had some very serious injuries. I actually did. I can own up to this one. I kicked in a glass window. I cut my Achilles tendon in half. It sprung up my leg. This is Easter. This is Easter Sunday, probably 2000 about. So yeah, I broke my femur in a motorbike accident out the front of Cabramatta Police Station on Phelps Street in Cabramatta Road, where I got cleaned up by a car stoned on heroin. I was in a coma for 3 days. So anyway, that's that injury, and I've recently broke my. Anyway, I've had a lot of injuries too. So I'm still a kid too. Like, I act as if I'm invincible. I really need to start putting a bit more thought into what I do.
When you kick that window in and you tore your Achilles or ripped it in half, did you get away from the scene, or did we find you there?
I've got a beautiful story for it. I'll tell you what happened, right? Security rocked up at the building, and every window apart from that one was barred up. There's no way. I'm trapped inside this building. I finally find a spot about 3 meters high, and I've had to. So my Achilles tendon is cut in half already. It's white, but there's no blood. Yeah. I've tied the sock around it to try and contain it, but there was no blood anyway. I've had to leap out of this 3 meter window, which was quite harmful. I got away. The security guard didn't see me. I start lift one, drag one all the way towards Smithfield, and this old lady in a car stopped, and she said, "Are you all right there?" And she ended up giving me a lift. She ended up, like, we're talking 1 a.m. or something. She ended up giving me a lift. And I had some stuff. She dropped me off at the dealer's house where I sold the. Bless her, eh?
There's some good soul people out there.
So anyway, they found DNA on that piece of glass, and I got done for that. While I was right at the end of a sentence, maybe 18 months later, I'm just about to get out, and DNA results have come back from some piece of window. And as it happened, they give me 18 months, and they backdated it. So I had to do an extra. I had to do an extra 7 months rather than getting.
You probably wouldn't even remember all the places you did over.
No way, but I live in town these days, or in the inner west, which I absolutely love. But if I drive out west, it's like memory lane, mate. And I promise you, I can't go 50 meters without having impacted that area. Like I was everywhere for sure.
Yeah. So when you've ended up in jail, so the adult prison, what was your first sentence? How long, and did that? Yeah, give you a wake-up call?
A lot of remand. I'm scared for sure. Parramatta Prison, 18th birthday. I just like. Yeah, I remember just reception. Reception's like, the part you probably know.
And it's pretty scary.
Yeah, it's scary. It's just
Parramatta.
It's just bars.
It's like something out of the 1800s.
Yeah, well, it was. There wasn't built then. Just bars, outdoor cells too. Like, but having some kind of thrill about it as well. Strangely enough, which makes sense. Like I'm in jail. Fuck. But yeah, scary too.
Yeah.
Got into a fight like within the first 3 hours. I took I held on to someone's cigarettes, going through reception out back into the yard. Expects me to hold on to them. I don't know what I'm doing. I smoke them. Yeah. Anyway, I get out in the yard and it's on straight away. I got attacked like within fucking an hour of being in the yard. I get attacked.
Because he gave you the cigarettes to hang on to.
And I think I was supposed to pass them on to somebody, maybe the sweeper.
Yeah.
And in the reception. Anyway, I smoked them. Anyway, it was all good. Like I told him I fucked up. I had to fix him up. But yeah, I smoked him. But yeah, that was my introduction to Parramatta Prison.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one, it went down fine. But scary, mate. But at the same time, I remember hearing a lot of stories about Parramatta Prison while I was there. By different cellmates and that. I'm blessed I never had any real big dramas in jail. I actually had this really good ability, and I still do, to connect with people and get along.
Carried you through.
I've always been able to connect with the right people wherever I am.
Yeah, bit of the street smart. So how long was the first stint?
I would have maybe, I don't know, Gary, to be honest, maybe 2 months remand. Let's say 2 months remand.
Did you kick your habit in there, or could you find your?
Yeah, fuck. Didn't have a choice for the first few days, but I found sources pretty quickly. Let's say I spent between my 18th birthday and turning 28. I reckon I spent 6 years of that solid locked up.
Yeah, I
was stoned probably 5 years of that time.
Right.
Just mainly on pot. Pot was mostly. I was on the methadone. I got on the methadone at 21 because I realised, hang on a minute, I keep coming into jail, locked up, hanging out. Give me the methadone, So I got on that too, but and I stayed on that for 13 years. But I definitely had stints on the ice in there, on heroin. But no, when you're on the dome, not much really gets over the top of it,
Yeah. But it's you come out at any point in your life at that stage. Did you go, Danny, mate, let's turn this around. This is not the way of I want to live my life. Did you have any of that?
No, Gary. I don't know why. Like okay. I know it sounds so.
Well, like, you didn't think about that.
No, I didn't. No,
it comes across, and this is I'm trying to dig into that compulsion with the addiction and all that. Just this is the life I've chosen.
It's great. Yeah, it's not even chosen. It's like this is the life I've been dealt. Like so. Look, don't get me wrong, like I would take advantage of any opportunity to get out of custody by going to detox, rehab, drug court. Yeah. I actually escaped while I was on drug court, and some of the nurses from the clinic, it's a long story, but like Sue Jeffries, everyone knows Sue Jeffries in the system. She was like the head methadone nurse and in charge of the drug court stuff, but I continued to bump her later, or I'd get locked up again and someone would remember me from the escape and being on drug court. I actually even met the judge from drug court. Because I'm in business. Yeah. I'm an entrepreneur today. And recently I had a meeting with the judge of drug court who had heard about my escape. And he had me in the courtroom at Parramatta having a chat and we went out for lunch. What the fuck?
Oh, that's how, and this is I'm deliberately taking you into your life when it was that intense, because I want to show how you've turned it around, because this is why I'm sort of throwing it out to you. At what point? But tell us about the times in jail when you get out. Now, have family written you off, or you've still got people supporting you, or you've burnt them? What's your circle of friends when you get out?
My sister, definitely. Not that she'd rip me off, but like, far out. It's kind of embarrassing, I would expect, or shameful, and you certainly lose hope, especially when family sees you hurt mum or dad, right? Not that my dad ever really felt hurt. I'm sure he did in his own way. But so no, I'm very blessed. They probably certainly limited their visits depending what jail would be on, but they'd always be there, mate. And in fact, my dad, he was an absolute legend. Like he would. He'd like put money in accounts, and so would mum, mate.
Yeah.
But I'd manipulate both of them. Like it wouldn't be just
that is the sad part, and we'll talk in part two about that the impact that it has on loved ones, because I've seen it with people I'm close to and their families, and their families, it just breaks their heart each time, and they go, okay, we'll give him one more chance, we'll give him one more chance, and they can never completely cut away from it, but the type of crimes, and I in researching, preparing for this, I heard you say that you didn't go down the path of violent crimes. So it was the theft and that type of thing. What stopped you from that?
Yeah, look, you triggered a memory of that earlier when we were talking. Because when I said I'd wake up desperate, right? I said that, but actually I did have big limits. Like I wouldn't hurt someone, mate. Look, I have been involved in I've never hurt anyone. I've just never been in my nature to cause harm to anybody, you know?
Yeah. And that's the type of crimes, it's a classic junkie type crimes, but I wonder that where you cross that line, is it going to be an assault and rob? You know, if you've robbed someone, and we're talking hypothetical here, I'm not asking you to go through all details, but is it if someone's, I want your wallet, then no, stuff it, you're not getting my wallet. Yeah. Would you have belted that person in desperation?
Yeah, no, I never did that. See, I wouldn't, that wasn't the type of crime I would do, you know? I wouldn't, I was never in that position where I want your wallet. Yeah. Stand over stuff. It's just, I was more the sneaky fucking do it behind your back kind of guy.
Right,
you
yeah.
know?
The fraudster or the thief.
I just don't have that in me. I can't hurt someone. It's not in me.
Not in you. So the circle of friends that you got, did they keep dragging you back into it? Did anyone, and I'm just trying to find someone in your life go, mate, this is not for you. Like, let's head off in a different direction. Or did you just gravitate towards the people that accepted you, that lifestyle?
It was a lonely journey, actually, Gary, now that you say it, because you say the group of friends. There was no group of friends. All right, so I was a popular kid until 16, where I was a mad skater, had all the boys, right? Yeah. Then once I started using heroin, it's like, shit, this guy's a bit serious. You know, they might be smoking a bit of pot, alcohol, but this guy's using heroin now. They dropped off pretty quickly. Yeah. They're around today, like on Facebook and that, which is pretty cool. Yeah. They're reaching out to me for help with loved ones, actually, but but there was just me and my best mate, who was also my co-offender. Yeah. He would rob me and I'd rob him. You know, like it's not a friendship. So there was no one, mate. So what you just suggested, there was no one.
You've described a story that I think a lot of people have gone through. Like I know people that I grew up with, the popular kid at school was so cool. And then you just go, you watch their life just deteriorate. And maybe they were the risk takers. I've seen it with my own kids and certain friends that they had that, they were the ones that would always be doing something, but they've just gone that too far. So you're in, was it Silverwater prison where you escaped?
Yep.
Talk us about that, because I got to say, and I've had a few people on I Catch Killers that have done some escape from prisons, and it's hardcore. But being inside prison, I go in there where I'm allowed out, and fortunately, you go in there and you think, how the hell do you plot to escape from here? Talk us about your escape and what brought it on.
Yeah, super comfortable to talk about that. I was doing maybe a 12-month stretch, I think. Yep. I was in old Silverwater at the time, and it was quite comfortable. You know, I was smoking pot on a daily basis. I'm on the methadone. I'm probably getting regular visits. I've got some cash outside, but this is the problem. This is why
you got a stash of.
I've got a stash of cash outside. It's just burning me. You know, like I can't really get access to it in there, and there wasn't a lot of. I had enough. I was getting access to enough in there to get me stoned on pot. I was smoking cones every day. But anyway, I don't think I really thought about it that much, but there was this one spot in the jail, right? I'd do laps doing the whole jail yard thing, and I'd do laps, and I just remember, and I think I'm a bit of a genius for this, actually, right? I remember spotting this one spot in the jail where the big barrel, right? Because these 20-foot fences with a 4-foot barrel, they lean over one way, which makes it impossible to scale it. You can't unless you're some fucking Spider-Man or something, right? But there was this one part in the jail where the barrel met another barrel, so one side of the barrel was leaning the opposite way.
When you're saying barrel, you're talking
I'm talking a big round green barrel that leans over one side of the fence. If you can imagine, if you're climbing up a fence and there's a big round barrel in front of you, you can't possibly. You'd have to go out 2 foot to get over it. So it's like that. Anyway, and razor wire and the rest of it. I'll get to that. But anyway, there was this one spot where I saw you could get up there, you know. And then I'm involved in this program called Kairos. It's this religious program that they run in jails, and there's this chaplain, Peter Bain. He's an absolute legend. And I would go to Kairos and any of these programs because they'd have coffee and biscuits. I'm certainly not a religious guy, but I'd go just to get out of my head, you know, have somewhere. There's always a rort, always, like whatever group's running, I would always be a part of those because I want to escape reality a bit, you know. So we go up there, and funny enough, it was a graduation night. Let's say it was a Wednesday night. It was the 6th of February 2001. At the end of our meeting, everyone gets around and holds hands and says some kind of prayer or something. I've already spoken to my who's my cellmate at the time. I said, and I spoke to my partner. I had it planned, I guess. So I spoke to Michelle that day, and I said, listen, if it was her birthday, it was the 6th of February, right? It was her birthday. I said, if you could see me tonight, I said, would that be okay? That's all I said, because they monitor the phones. And of course she said yes, right? And I said, well, I'm going to get some money organised for you to pick up some money. My loved one's going to drop some money off to her. And she's just thought, mad. Like as if she thought she was going to see me, you know?
Like you're going to escape.
Like I don't know what she thought. So boom, we're at the end of this holding hands around the circle, and me and old mate slip out the back, start scaling the fence at the back of the visiting area in Silverwater. Mate, I was 25. I weighed like 65 kilos back then. I'm 102 now. I was quite agile and anyway, fit. I got up this fence, right?
How'd you get over the barbed wire and
mate, we just scaled this fence. Mate, I don't know how, like I said, the barrel leaned over one side. So there was this one bit where I was up 20 foot up, and it was just like you put your hand out to grab onto this one more piece. If I would have slipped, I would have been dead. Like I would have hit the deck and broken every bone in my body, you know. But I'm sure enough, I managed to grab onto that last bit. And once I was up there, I literally just dragged myself up the barrel. Then I'm on top of the barrel. All right, so we're halfway there, right? You still got to go 25 metres out to the perimeter.
And is there guard towers?
There is guard towers, but they can't see this. But we're scaling along this barrel fence, and an officer is doing a perimeter search while we're up there.
And you're up above.
Yep. Could you imagine? He's shit. I remember, I can see him. He's one of those Sikhs with the big turban around his head. He's just shit himself seeing me up on that fence. I remember he got straight onto the radio. And all right, so we're about 15 metres away from the perimeter fence, and there's razor wire. So he's busted us. All I can remember is, all right, my plan was to sort of slip out and gently fall off the end of the fence and drop down because it's a big drop, and I'd sneakily get away. Well, the chase is on. He's onto the squad, the MEU's on their way. I'm sure they've contacted the police.
Are you waiting to be shot? Is it?
Yeah, look, it's definitely going through my mind. Like, what's going to happen? At this point, I don't think the guard, he would have a gun down there. No, he doesn't shoot me, thank God. But no, that wasn't really, it was just get away. How am I? So I've literally skipped like up 24 foot. I've skipped through the razor wire. I've cut myself up. I've leaped off the barrel and landed on my arm, and I've like torn every ligament in my arm because it's black and blue from my shoulder to my wrist. I've run down Holker Street towards Parramatta River.
Are you on your own? Are you the only one that's gone over?
All mates with me.
Yeah.
So my plan was always, here's the even crazy bit.
It sounds like you didn't have much of a plan, aren't
well,
you?
hang on. My plan was to swim across Parramatta River. This is how we were going to get away, right?
Yeah.
Which is fucking ridiculous. I'm going to swim across Parramatta River. The adrenaline's gone. I've leaped off the fence. I've broken my arm. I'm running down Holker Street. By this time, the squad is at the top of Holker Street. I can see bright lights coming down. I'm down at the base of the river. We've had to bounce a couple of fences, which was really hard with my arm fucked. Got over a couple of fences. They got the dogs as well. They get down there and they can't seem to get over these fences because...
You can hear the dogs coming.
I can hear the dogs. I can see the torches. Water police is on its way.
So it's like that movie scene.
Mate.
A jailbreak, and you got the dogs after you. The
Pole air.
lights are on. Pole air. Yeah.
Mate, I swam across Parramatta River. I'll tell you what, that was scary, all right? Because... I've always heard there's bull sharks in Parramatta River. I'm bleeding, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've cut my legs up pretty bad.
Are you hearing?
Mate, I'm not going to mention his name. He's ahead of me. He's even fitter than me, right?
Yeah.
He's ahead of me about 50 metres. I remember yelling out his name. He's gone. No noise. He doesn't want to. He's smarter than me, all right? He's a bit more of an experienced crim. Anyway, he's gone. I can't see him. It's pitch black. I'm diving in the water. I'm swimming. I'm just thinking these fucking sharks are going to get me. I'm rushing with adrenaline.
Are you hearing the dun dun dun?
Oh my God, Gary! And I get to the other side, and finally I find old mate. And anyway, we're in mud up to our neck, like it's this thick sludge of these mangroves. And to our benefit, nobody could see us then. Like even if the lights were on us, you were in thick mangroves, and we've clawed our way through about 200 meters of mud, and we end up taking this little side creek called Duck Creek. I only found out from the police report that that's what we'd done, but water police were going down Parramatta River. Yeah. And the same as Pole Air. And anyway, we came out on Parramatta Speedway in this demolition graveyard. I say demolition like it was all smashed up cars. Made my way across James Roos Drive, and I got away, mate. Yeah.
We've not a great deal of planning, but a lot of optimism.
Yeah. I was driven.
Because you wouldn't have been the first person that's thought to go over there. And,
sure.
I'm sure they've changed the gates and things since.
Definitely.
Since
I'll
then.
say that.
Okay, so now you want your life to be at a low point. You got a drug addiction. You're on the run.
Yeah.
So you're probably one of the most wanted people in the state at the time.
At the time, yeah.
What did you do?
Mate, I managed to go pick up the girl. We got the cash. We go to the Grandstand Hotel, right? I've got to give motel. Got to mention Grandstand Motel is one. You know the Grandstand Motel, yeah. It's got a real bad rep, right? But I did a lot of my using there. Whenever I had cash, we'd book a month at the Grandstand Hotel, you know? And anyway, so we're there, and I give old another Walker call, and he's into the false ID sort of syndicate racket, you know, and I get an idea.
So what year was this?
This is 2001.
Okay,
this is February 6, 2001 at the Grandstand Motel. My arm is black. I'm in pain. Yeah. I need heroin.
So it's getting a bit harder travelling around without any ID. And
for sure. Well, because I flew to Western Australia, right? Yeah. That was the plan. Well, that was my plan after I got the money. And anyway, I managed to get to Western Australia. My partner and me is on methadone. Yeah. Anyway, and she's pregnant with my unborn son. Yeah. Josh, big shout out to my boy Josh, right?
Good start, Josh.
Yeah. And he knows this story. But we have to get her on the methadone. And correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, but I'm in Western Australia. I'm thinking, this warrant isn't going to carry interstate. Like, warrants don't carry interstate. But to my surprise, New South Wales detectives were happy to jump on the plane and come pick me up. So we got her on the methadone in WA, and that must have hit a red light or something. So the two New South Wales detectives jumped on a plane and come kicked our door in at 6 a.m. at the motel, dragged me up by the poolside, give me a booting. I was resisting, and boom.
Well, I look at it this way, and it's not giving up methodology, but you've made a phone call to your lady. You've escaped, and I'm sure the police turned up at your lady's place, and she's not there. And I reckon that
Mum and Dad's house got simultaneously raided that same night too. Yeah, and that was on the news too. So yeah, like imagine, and the story goes way deeper. But like I got mum and dad to meet me. Listen to this. This is the fucking delusional addict, right? I'm on.
It's interesting you say that because all your plans are just
It's happening on the spot.
It's out there.
I make mum and dad come meet me at El Toro Hotel because I've had to get out of the grandstand. And bring like say $10,000 cash with them. I'm saying it's going to be okay. This is mum and dad in my hotel room with my partner Michelle pregnant.
Yeah.
I'm just reassuring them that it's going to be okay. I'm going to go to Western Australia.
Live happily ever after.
Oh my God, we're going to be okay. I understand this is serious, but I'm just going to take the money. I don't want you guys to worry. And Danny, my arm's black as
Danny,
well.
Sitting here, I'm worried for your parents. I'd be going, you're what? But
goodness, mate. But yeah. And mate, that day, I was just throwing this last bit of a story. I was walking back through to Liverpool. There's a graveyard at the back of Liverpool Westfields, right? Yeah. I'm walking through there and I get pulled over by coppers, right? I'm on the run. Day one of being on the run. I get pulled over by coppers. I'm about to have a shot of heroin in the park. And that's why they busted me. And they questioned me. I've thrown them a bodgy name. I won't use that name here. Because it got me through anyway. Yeah. And they questioned me about my arm and all these cuts on my legs from the mangroves. Right. And I said I had I went trail bike riding on the weekend. Now, they obviously didn't buy me, but they let me go. So I was like this close from getting pinched before it even started, you know?
Yeah.
And anyway, I got away.
So you got on the plane to Western Australia. You had some cash?
Yeah, I had 10 grand cash on me.
And did you have plans then? Because that's not going to last.
I didn't. I fucking never been to Western Australia in my life, mate. I thought there'd be heroin there. There wasn't.
Yeah.
I found this stuff called home bake, which is like this synthetic homemade heroin. I bought like 100 syringes for $100.
Yeah.
And just started. Fuck, when we got pinched, I had the biggest habit. Like, it was horrible. For the next 3 days, I was stuck in the Perth watch house.
So describe that. You're in a dodgy motel room somewhere in Perth.
Nice motel.
Right,
Gary, I had cash.
It was a nice hotel, right, so mate. you weren't thinking of planning for spread the money out. We
lifted it up. We're in a nice hotel. We've been out. We've got a whole bunch of these loaded syringes full of this.
Did you think you were clever and that you've got this all wide? Did you have that sense of look at me? I've escaped.
I knew it was going to run out soon, but like. I kind of felt that, yeah, but I also do.
Because I know the person you are now and listening to you as a person there, I'm laughing at you. I'm not condoning what you do. There's jails. You're meant to stay in jail. That's rule number one. But it's just the logic, what the drugs does to your thinking and your processing.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's madness. So you're there and bang on the door and the police
finally crashed. There's a bowl. There's a big bowl of pot. There's syringes of this home bake. It's 5 a.m., which would probably be exactly, you'd know that. Maybe 4:30 a.m. Just the door gets booted in. I think I'm naked in bed. Michelle's pregnant, like in her early days of pregnancy. I just get dragged out by the poolside. I guess they wanted to get me away from stuff. And boom, it's all over.
And
shattered.
Yeah.
Shattered, mate.
The great escape. So how long were you on the run for?
6 days. I got caught on the 14th of February, and I always tell this story because I was with my partner. It was such a romantic, Valentine's Day on the 14th of February.
Okay, so you go to court over in Perth, then you put on a plane, you're brought back here.
Yeah.
That changes your time in prison too, I would imagine, because you'd be in high risk and different prisons.
Yeah, I'm an E class, so back to full time. So once you've got an escape under your belt, they class you as an E, which means you're in. I've still got an E class so today, obviously because of that incident. Back in maximum, but it's all good because. Yeah, like I was used to that as well.
So how old were you at that stage?
It was 2001, 24, 25.
All right. Well, I think we might wrap up part one. So the great escape that lasted 6 days, but you managed to get Valentine's Day on that. So that
romantic
was romantic. With your pregnant girlfriend, your drug addiction. If you're a betting man, which I'm not, but if I was, I'd be saying you ain't got long on this planet at that stage. Like it looked like it's heading down a one-way street that, there's no return from. So in part 2, we're going to, because I wanted people to get an understanding of what your life was there and how you've actually turned it round, because I think it's quite impressive the way that you've turned your life around and the type of stuff that you're doing now. But I'm looking at part 1, and you were a stuff up, weren't you? Like that was, and I suppose, did you realise that you're just wasting your life at that point in time? Did that,
I didn't think. I just didn't. That was my problem, Gary.
Yeah, you didn't think.
I didn't think. No, I didn't.
Okay, well, we'll end it here, and then we'll, when we're coming back for part 2, we're going to talk about how you decided to turn your life around and chose a different path. So
looking forward to it, mate.
Cheers, Danny.
Thank you.